All right, and we're live. Okay, so hey everyone, been a while. Sorry for about all that. I had some shit that was going on in my life, but I'm back again. Now, one of the big things that we hear about with MGTOW is freedom, uh, and typically we're talking about freedom from gynocentrism and so forth. But very rarely do I hear people in the MGTOW community talking about the prisons that we make for ourselves, whether it be through our own bad decisions, maybe a decision that's kind of just stayed along with us throughout, or a bad habit that we developed. One such decision, for me at least, was picking up cigarettes. I mean, let's be honest, cigarettes are a nasty vice. Most smokers will openly admit that. So, and I'm not waiting for people to join in because I know I'm streaming at kind of a weird time. So, yeah, but I'll keep the chat up there just in case someone does decide that they want to come in on it. They see it, but and I'm gonna keep this stream somewhat shorter because it's more an off the cuff stream. But most smokers will openly admit that it's a fairly nasty habit. I mean, it's definitely a vice, and it definitely restricts a lot of your freedoms. As uh, one way that it restricts it is you now get chained down to cigarettes. It gets to the point where you become kind of reliant on them. Well, me, I'm actually changing that. I actually recently started vaping because I want to quit cigarettes. I've tried the patch before. Didn't work. All it did was make me want to smoke cigarettes more often because that patch was just constant chewing gum. The gum tastes nasty, and I've never been much of a gum chewer. Never really liked chewing gum at all. Um, I mean, I could go ahead and simulate the lung compression by doing the paper clip on the end of a straw trick. Hey, Michael, welcome to the stream. First time on? Well, welcome in, brother. Um, so, like I was saying, smoking can be a pretty bad vice. And I'm speaking from personal experience. I've been smoking since I was 17. I am now 32. So, I've been smoking for quite a few years. It got to a really nasty habit. And those of you who have been on my channel for a while know that I'm constantly smoking cigarettes on my streams. Well, the thing is I'll be real with you guys. I was smoking around 30 to 40 cigarettes a day. And yeah, for one, it was financially devastating. Uh, Even with me rolling my own cigarettes, I was having to spend around $20 to $30 a week uh, on cigarettes, give or take. That's a lot of fucking money. Actually, Danish, I am in the middle of kicking them. I've actually started vaping, and I'm working my way down in nicotine count. Vaping's a really fun hobby, though, so I'm probably not going to stop vaping. But I figure it this way: as far as the science right now is concerned, and I'm going to get into this later. But as far as the science is concerned, it's much less damaging to me. Um, Well, Michael, I don't know if you're in my Discord, but if you ever want to go ahead, get in the Discord, I might be able to help you out with that because there's a lot of things that people don't realize when they go into vaping. And so, like a lot of people that I've talked to that ditched vaping before, and I haven't been vaping for all that long, but I've talked to people and they said that they tried vaping, and I'm included in this number. I actually tried vaping more than a couple of years back, and I used the cigalikes, is what they're called, the ones that actually look like cigarettes and that sort of thing. But the thing is I was trying to do the direct lung to hit because I wasn't getting that same satisfaction as smoking. Well, the thing is those are meant for mouth to lung. So it had a very negative effect on me. And not to mention, I'm not exactly known for being a water drinker. Um, and so another thing that a lot of people don't realize is when you vape, you have to actually drink more water because you will get dehydrated from vaping. A lot of people think, oh, it's water vapor, so I'm not going to get dehydrated. Actually, there's no water vapor in here, really. Um, the amount of water vapor in here is boom. And actually, Michael, that's actually been disproven by recent studies as far as the oil ruining your lungs. The thing is your lungs are able to easily mitigate the oil. And with cigarettes, with the cancer sticks, the main threat from those is the tar, which your lungs can't deal with. They can't easily mitigate it, and it ends up getting really bad. That's what really causes a lot of the damage to you. Um, but I highly recommend that you get onto the Discord. I'm definitely willing to get in there and chat with you and that sort of thing. Because also, people who have been a part of my channel for a while, or anyone who knows me personally, will very quickly tell you that I do my research into things before I jump in. It's very rare that I just jump head first and don't look at possible consequences and so on and so forth. I've actually done my research in. It also helps out that I have a little bit of medical training. But yeah, I'm glad you never got hooked on them either, Danish. I mean, that honestly, whenever I see someone smoking cigarettes, and it's not hypocritical of me because the thing is I looked at myself in the mirror the same way. Whenever I see someone hooked on cigarettes, it's heartbreaking because there's so much that you lose. You actually lose a part of yourself to cigarettes. Yes, the cigarettes, you kind of incorporate them into your into who and what you are. That is a thing that happens, but that's not exactly the best thing. Um, Back in the day, smoking used to be cool and that sort of thing, but now it's very rightly being called out. Now, if someone, chooses to smoke cigarettes and they're all like, "I know the consequences. Fuck it, I don't care." All right, you do you. I'm not gonna judge or anything. But I'm talking about the people that actually want to quit cigarettes. A lot of people are like, "Well, why don't you just quit? Mind over matter." No, not exactly. There's a lot of negative things that come along with quitting cigarettes. Like with me, with as many cigarettes as I was smoking, if I was to quit cold turkey, here's what I could expect. One, the typical withdrawal symptoms, and then I'd become even more grisly than I typically am for a little while. But also at the same time, you have a chance if you're a heavy smoker and you just decide to quit out and out cold turkey. For one, more than likely, you're not gonna fucking succeed. Hey, Korean, how's it going? Um, but the thing is when you quit cigarettes, a lot of people know about the withdrawal symptoms, but the thing is when quit, your body has just a chain of reactions that happens. Some people, hey, how's it going, dude? What's up? But one of the things that happens, well, that can happen, is what's called quit zits. In other words, you can basically go through puberty all over again for the most part, as far as the acne is concerned. And it fucking sucks. With me, luckily, so far, I haven't had that happen, but I'm just starting out. But the thing is, I'm also not prone to that. I'm actually not prone to acne. So, like, even when I was going through puberty, I didn't really get acne. I mean, I had the bare occasional zit, but that actually made it a little worse because then it stood out like a sore thumb. But another thing is what's called skin weeping, and what that is your body's getting rid of those toxins that you've built up from smoking, because your body actually naturally wants to get rid of those toxins. Well, the thing is pissing it out isn't always the best option, and that sort of thing. Hey, Squeefles, what's up? But another big thing that your body does to get rid of toxins is actually sweating it out through the pores in your skin. Well, the thing is these toxins tend to be a little bit more oily and thick, and so they will actually go through those pores in your skin, and it's actually kind of a yellowish, oily discharge. And I actually have already started into that. It happened the last time I tried to quit cigarettes as well, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm melting." But oh, Ellie, oh, good god, mm. No, don't get me started on Ellie. But the thing is a lot of people don't realize that there's these other things that come along with it, and all that stresses you out. I mean, figure it this way: if you suddenly start getting like an oily discharge coming from your fucking skin, you're gonna stress a little bit. Um, but the thing is it's not just the withdrawal symptoms that people have to deal with. It's also actually kicking those chemicals out, and now your body has to start dealing with not having those chemicals, which can cause a whole plethora of problems. One of which, if someone was a very heavy smoker like me, if I was to outright just quit cold turkey, I actually have a very high chance of developing lung cysts. And that doesn't really help matters any. Um, and so the thing is I've gone from smoking that 30 to 40 cigarettes a day down to smoking maybe one or two a day, and I've actually had a few days where I haven't even smoked at all. I actually don't like the taste of cigarettes anymore. You know, like whenever I do smoke a cigarette, I wonder to myself, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I doing this? What did I ever enjoy about these? And this has happened over the course of a week. And so, kind of an interesting thing. And just like with any relatively new technology, which you wouldn't, which vaping actually isn't necessarily that new, but now they're just starting to look into it. And the thing is the studies are being pretty promising right now. And the thing is if you actually go ahead and you look at the FDA, even the FDA is having to kind of sit there and go, yeah, no, vaping is much better than smoking, and it's actually working as a really great quitting aid for a vast majority of people that are quitting, much more so than nicotine patches and nicotine gum. Well, the reason for that is they've actually started looking into nicotine. And it turns out that nicotine itself is actually no more addicting than caffeine. Which caffeine's pretty addicting, don't get me wrong, it's a drug. Let's be honest. But I'm never gonna kick caffeine. Let's, you know, come on. Well, I'm glad to hear that you quit, man. Like I said, smoking is actually a horrible vice. It's exceedingly expensive, and I'm not just talking about the actual cost of cigarettes, but I'm also taking into account future costs, medical bills, increased rates for medical insurance, being denied access to medical insurance because you're a smoker. If you end up having a problem like my dad has with kidneys, guess what? If you're a smoker, you do not get onto that fucking transplant list. So on and so forth. There's a lot of cost that comes into play that a lot of people don't assess. But just the base cost, just what you spend on it, me looking back at how much I've spent on cigarettes, if I had never started smoking again, I would be in such a better position financially than I am now. Um, and people are all like, "Oh, well, you're just trading out one habit for another." That may be true, for right now. But vaping is much cheaper and it's much less damaging to me. And it's and of course, it's also much less damaging to my wallet. And I've actually been feeling a lot better since I've started smoking. I've been a lot more active. I've already started noticing those changes. So, my way of addressing that argument, especially when against other MGTOWs, is, well, you know what? I look at it the same way as I look at it the same way as sex bots. The thing is the ends are basically the same, except you have a lot more money in your wallet, you feel better about yourself, and you have a lot more freedom. Not seeing a downside. And the cool thing is my family is actually fully supporting me on this because the thing is for one, the house smells a lot better. It doesn't smell like a fucking ashtray anymore. I'm not burning my clothes by accidentally flicking off a cherry or something like that. I'm not lighting random shit on fire. If I light anything on fire, it's on purpose because I'm a pyromaniac, let's be honest. But so far I haven't seen a single downside. And the more I research into it, the more I look into the research that's being done and what they're coming up with. Color me impressed. It definitely seems like this is a much healthier alternative to smoking. Because if someone's going to go ahead and pick up a habit of pulling extra chemicals into their fucking lung, above and beyond what we already get nowadays just by living in a city or whatever, I'd much rather hear about them picking up vaping, which doesn't have the secondhand smoke problem, which doesn't have the dental issues, which doesn't damage your lungs anywhere near as much. I'm not saying that it's completely risk-free or completely harmless. I'm not one of those people. But the thing is when I look at MGTOWs and I see them smoking, I'm all like, maybe you should get rid of those chains too. Yeah, and Michael, I also have the same thing. Whenever I'm not streaming, I smoke outside. And the thing is when it drops down to the point where Snow would sit there and say, "Hey, turn up the heat," I'm like, "Oh, what the fuck?" But here's another thing about vaping, and this is actually one of the things that also kind of perked my ears up to it. You can actually create your own coils. And to do so effectively, you actually have to learn some skills. Some skills that can actually be used in day-to-day life. Like Ohm's law. You have to learn Ohm's law. That's basic circuitry. That's fucking fantastic. I think everyone should know that. So, alright, cool. And then on top of that, I can go ahead and create my own vape juices. And customize them to my taste. And that saves me even more money by doing all of that. And this is already proving to be by magnitudes cheaper. So, to any MGTOWs out there that care to listen, honestly give vaping a try. But do your research into it. Find what's going to work for you. Because the thing is everyone thinks, oh, vape is vape is vape. No, that's actually not the case. In fact, if you look into vaping, it's actually a very complex thing. Out here, Danish, a pack of smokes costs anywhere from $10 to $15 per pack. Yeah. And figure it this way, if I was smoking those pre-rolls, per day, double that cost. So I went into rolling my own cigarettes, which turns out was actually a healthier alternative than smoking the pre-rolls. Who knew? Yeah, it is harsh. It's exceedingly harsh. Hey, dude, you know what? I'm all for weed. I'm one of those people. I think that weed should be legal and the government should keep its fucking nose out of it. That's all I'm saying there. I mean, if someone's being irresponsible, and they're driving down the road and, they obviously can't see out of the front of their car because they've hotboxed their fucking car, yeah, maybe pull them over and say, hey, maybe you should walk. But, other than those extreme circumstances, I say let people do whatever the fuck they're gonna fucking do at that point. And the thing is out here in California, weed products are now legal, and so the thing is once I get to the point where I'm able to have THC in my system, well, doesn't mean I gotta stop vaping. Doesn't mean I need to go back to that shit. Well, NYC, I wouldn't say that I smoke more when I drink because I very rarely drink. I drink maybe once or twice a year. But that's because I drink to get drunk and then I always regret it. Not to mention, I'm not a huge fan of the taste of most alcohol. And I fully understand that, Danish. But the cool thing is if you're in a room with vapors, guess what? I've actually had people actively walk up to me and start talking to me while I'm vaping now. Whereas before, those very same people would stay way the fuck away from me as long as I had a cigarette lit in my mouth. Which is a positive and a negative because some of the people I don't want to talk to. But, you know, balancing shit. Some of them do Danish, but then there's also some that are very non-candy like with smells. Um, but it all depends on the flavor. Like the flavor that I'm smoking right now is actually a blueberry flavor, and it does smell kind of like blueberry candy. Um, but the thing is like my daughter, I told her, this may smell good, but do not put it in your mouth because even if she was to go ahead and down an entire bottle of what I have, yeah, it would make her sick to her stomach, but it wouldn't kill her. But I'd still rather avoid that. But the thing is it's awesome because the thing is if I'm vaping, I don't have to worry about my daughter getting secondhand smoke. I don't have to worry about my daughter, like if I take her to school, I don't have to worry about her hopping out and smelling like an ashtray just because she occupied the same space as me. Um, and not to mention, I'm going to be able to stick around a lot longer to help keep her ass in check as she grows up. So, oh yeah, yeah, and that's another big thing. Like a lot of people, their main complaint about smokers is the smell. And so this gets past that, and the vapors can still get their nicotine. Um, which with me, I started out at the 18 milligram nicotine, and way too strong. Um, the next bottles that I buy, I'm going to drop down to 12 milligrams of nicotine, and if that's still too strong, then I'm going to drop down to 6 milligrams of nicotine. And the thing is at that point, for me to get as much nicotine from a cigarette, and I find this interesting, for me to get as much nicotine from a cigarette, I would have to vape through basically half of a tank of what I vape off of. And the thing is for me to go through half of a tank, takes me almost an entire day. Well, Danish, just like with anything, there's expensive oils and then there's non-expensive oils. Um, and it usually comes down to brand. And then you've also got your PG and VG. PG is a chemical that carries flavor and that sort of thing, but it makes it a little bit more harsh. And then at the same time, VG gives you more of that vapor cloud production, but it doesn't carry flavor as well. So with me, my preferred PG to VG right now is 30% PG to 70% VG in my mix. But I highly recommend that any MGTOWs out there, if you're really wanting to be free and you actually want to live the life, if you're a smoker, try vaping. Um, you're going to feel a lot better. You're going to have a lot more energy. You can still go ahead and get your nicotine. And if you're like me and you're more addicted to the lung compression, you still get that. So that's another cool thing. Another thing that I've noticed about the community involved with vaping, yeah, there's the assholes in there. Every community is going to have them, but for the most part, they're very welcoming. They're very nice. They, you know, very down to earth. Um, so that's another cool aspect of it. And the thing is we do have something in common between the two groups. We're craving freedom. A lot of vapors are ex-smokers that will sit there and shout from the rooftops that vaping is infinitely better. And the thing is, well, maybe listen to people who have smoked for years upon years upon years upon years and said, hey, I tried everything else in the book to quit and nothing worked, but this does. But yeah, Michael, go ahead, hop into my Discord. The link's down in there, um, in the low bar. It's an open invite to anyone to meet up with that. I am willing to go in and help you find the information that's needed. Um, one thing that I do recommend is don't go with a super cheap vape to start out, because then you're going to get like super harsh hits. You're going to have to constantly replace coils, blah 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 blah, and so then you're not going to really be saving anything. So I definitely recommend investing a little bit more. Like the one that I have, and no, this isn't sponsored or anything like that, but um, and if anyone wants a link to the place, I got one that's called the Gladiator XL, and basically what it is it's kind of in between a Siglite and what's called a mod box, which is one of those boxy things that you see some vapors hitting off of. Um, it's a really good starter pen. I highly recommend buying an extra battery link for it, because the thing is if you're like me, you're going to be vaping very consistently, because that's another thing that I've noticed with people is because of the extra freedom that they have with vaping, like being able to vape inside of their car without smelling up their car, being able to vape inside of the house when it's cold outside without stinking up their house. In fact, their house starts smelling better. They tend to vape much more often than they would have smoked. Um, but even at that point, I mean, figure it this way: every inhale that you take, which I'm going to take now, every inhale that you take, that is 4,000 less chemicals, give or take a couple of chemicals, than you would be taking in with cigarettes. And the thing is as far as PG is concerned, well, I mean, that's used in hospitals all the time. It's used in breathing treatments, and they also inject it into their HVAC systems to help kill bacteria that are weak, that are sensitive to hydrophilic substances. So, in other words, if they get dehydrated, they die. So that's kind of a cool thing. Um, so it's already you already got a medical aspect down there. Now, as far as the flavors are concerned, well, I mean, yeah, you're breathing in some chemicals, but it's in such small amounts, your body's easily able to deal with that. It's not going to cause any harm to you. In fact, you take those flavors into you, and the colorings and dyes, you take those into you every single day. If you eat, you take those in. Same thing with VG. Again, your body's used to dealing with it. And some people are like, "Oh, well, your lungs aren't used to dealing with it." Well, to a degree, no, but to a degree, yes, because these are viscous materials. And whenever you swallow something, you do partly breathe it in. A lot of people don't get that. That's the reason why breathalyzers work. Like whenever you drink the alcohol, you tip that bottle back. Guess what? Some of that alcohol is getting down into your lungs because of it vaporizing and you breathing. That's the reason why a vaporizer works. Not a vaporizer, but a breathalyzer works. So the thing is at that point, we're also talking about such minuscule amounts of these things, such small particulate, that honestly, just breathing regular air could be honestly argued to be less healthy just from smog. But again, if you want to go ahead and you want to smoke cigarettes, by all means, you do you. I'm not going to tell you what to do. All I can do is give you the information. But the thing is as someone who is now in the middle of quitting smoking, and I haven't had a single withdrawal symptom this whole time. I haven't gotten more aggressive. I haven't gotten more grumpy. Well, actually, if you're on a tablet, Michael, if you're on that, you can actually download the app, and the app's pretty lightweight. Let's see. Chaz is asking, what's the best method to transmute built up uh, anger, rage, energy? Um, well, find a good hobby. Honestly, that's my suggestion. For me, video gaming is that current hobby, but that's starting to die out with me. I'm wanting to become more active. I'm thinking I'm going to start channeling that into going out for runs, riding a bike, um, maybe going ahead and finishing learning programming, uh, all that sort of shit. Yeah, and NYC, like I said, I've been a very heavy smoker for a very, very, very long time. Oh, that's cool, Michael. Feel free to join at any time. Just go ahead and message me with a time that you want to get on. Hell, I might go ahead and actually throw up some links to some good starter information videos on my Discord. So if anyone's curious, they can go ahead and go in, and I'll pin them. Hell, I might make an entire channel dedicated to vaping at this point, because I mean I'm very impressed, and that's very hard to do with me. It's very hard to impress me with something, and vaping has actually impressed me. But I figure it this way: if I can get more MGTOWs to put down the cancer sticks and pick up vaping, which has more freedom with it, more customizability, and much less cost, both in health aspect and in monetary cost, allowing them to live longer and do more of what they want with that extra money that they fucking find, being able to pick up those healthy habits. Well, if that's not going your own way, then I don't know what is. Part of going your own way is breaking those chains that were holding you down before. And so the thing is cigarettes are definitely a chain. They're a chain with a very high cost that really you have no reason to do anymore. And so that's just my view on it. But this is also, again, coming from someone who's smoked for a long time and seeing the limitations imposed on people who smoke, especially out here where I live in California. I mean, oh my God, if you're a smoker out here, you might as well be a leper. Maybe not so much in my area, but even in my area, people kind of look sideways at you when you smoke. But yeah, no, I honestly, I just want to go ahead and get this information out there. So the thing is with vaping, I mean, the studies are already coming out. It's it's much more healthy. And the thing is I want to bring up one thing. I'll probably talk about this again when me and Dilgaff, which we're working on getting together to do another live stream together. So keep an eye out for that. Um, but when me and Dilgaff do it, I actually want to bring up one thing. I was actually talking to him. He actually is a vapor as well now because he was wanting to quit the cancer sticks. He's been vaping for a lot longer than me. But also, he's not like me as far as like when I get involved in something, I dig into it. I'm one of those people. I'm like, all right, I'm involved in this. I now want to know just about everything I can about it. He's not like that. He just knows that it works for him. He likes it. It helped him get away from a bad habit. Awesome. Now, Metro's Michael can go ahead and keep smoking the cancer sticks, and we can let Darwinism run its course. Um, but all joking aside, the thing is one thing that I did notice that I will probably bring up again later with Dilgaff is the FDA at first was really fighting vaping. It was fighting hard. It was using, I'm not even going to call it faulty science because the thing is that's still an insult to science. Um, they were using highly biased and exceedingly unscientific studies to quote for them trying to clamp down on vaping. And it just so happens that those studies were put out by big pharma and tobacco companies. Who knew? Honestly, who's surprised about that? So, and a lot of people who have been watching my channel will know my feelings on the FDA and big pharma. I hate the both of them. And the faster I can see them take hit after hit after hit, the better. But that's the vengeful part of me. I'll check that at the door. But the thing is the studies that have actually followed the scientific method, have actually been peer reviewed, have actually garnered scientific weight, are all showing that at the lowest, vaping is 95% less damaging than smoking cigarettes. And people that have switched from cigarettes to vaping are either saying that it's just as satisfying, if not more satisfying, than smoking cigarettes. And the thing is if your big thing about it is nicotine being in it and nicotine being the bad thing, well, then I'm just going to tell you this right now. You need to stop. If you want to live a nicotine free life, have fun with your ADD. Have fun with your bipolarism. Because it turns out that nicotine is actually a natural occurring thing that our bodies actually need. Funny that. Now, not in the amounts that you get from cigarettes, obviously. Too much of anything is bad. Too much water's bad for you. But the thing is if you want to live a nicotine-free life, potatoes are out of your diet. Eggplant, out of your diet. Tomatoes, out of your diet. I could go on and on and on with chemicals that have naturally occurring nicotine in them that you are absorbing into your body every single day. You take a vitamin B3 tablet, guess what? You're taking in nicotine. Because nicotine is actually a core component, a core active component in vitamin B3. If I'm remembering correctly. There's a bunch of different vitamins out there, but I'm pretty sure it was vitamin B3. So do take that into mind. Nicotine itself isn't all that bad. And the thing is even if you're standing right next to someone who's vaping, and let's say they're going all for broke, they got a 32 milligram nicotine juice in there, and they're blowing clouds that would make thunderstorms blush. You're still not getting any of that nicotine. Unless you are in a completely closed off room that has absolutely zero airflow, and then you might get a couple particulates of nicotine every few breaths. So, I just wanted to go ahead and address a few of those things. I'm probably going to have a live stream strictly about the strictly about vaping and that sort of thing. Um, and with that, I'll actually put on my face cam again. But honestly, guys, if you're smoking the cancer sticks, I highly recommend you go in, do some research into vaping, figure out what's probably going to be the best start off for you, and don't go to just one place and go, oh, well, these people are suggesting this, and so blah. Don't do that. Don't go out and buy the most expensive rig that you can find. Go out, do your research, look into what you like about smoking cigarettes. Because if there was nothing that we liked about smoking cigarettes, wouldn't keep going back to them. Look into it. Do you like feeling that lung compression? So basically that draw in and exhale. Do you like the taste? Because they actually have tobacco flavored ones. So if you're like me and you liked menthol, they have menthol flavored. But go ahead, take a look at what draws you to smoking cigarettes, and then go ahead, do your research. I can't do the research for you because, again, people's reasons for smoking are just as varied as however many people are out there. We constantly hear about people saying, oh, everyone falls on a spectrum. Well, guess what? When it comes to smoking, your reasons for doing so, you fall onto a spectrum. Because a lot of people say, oh, it was peer pressure. Okay, what about the peer pressure? Was it because you wanted to get your dick wet and the girls wanted the bad boy who smoked? Was it because all your friends were calling you a pussy if you didn't smoke? Was it because you wanted to be part of a group? These are complex questions. Don't give simple answers. Because at that point, that shows that you're not willing to put in the effort to be honest. Not with yourself and not with the person that you're talking to. And it really sucks if the person that you're talking to is yourself. And that's the person you need to worry about talking to. If you can't look yourself in the eye in the mirror, maybe start working on that first. Best way of working on that, be honest with yourself. Who are you? What are you? Why do you do the things you do? Well, I had to address that when I decided I wanted to quit. I knew I wanted to quit cigarettes, but I couldn't answer the question of why I kept going back to them. Well, now I know. I liked the feeling of the lung compression, and I liked some of the. It is MGTOW basics, really. It is. I am kind of going back to basics here, but the thing is those basics are more important now than ever, especially with the growth of me. Because the thing is new people coming in, are rarely getting those intro videos to MGTOW. Maybe I should go ahead and do an intro to MGTOW video again, so I can keep that current on my channel, discussing those basics. For a lot of people that watch my channel, we've all been familiarized with MGTOW to the point where the basics seem repetitive. Well, the reason why you drill the basics is so that way the more complex shit has the sturdy founding that it needs. If you stop practicing the basics, none of the other shit works. Well, MGTOW is even involved in cigarette smoke. And I know I sound very preachy right now, but the thing is it's because this is important. Stop damaging yourself. Stop chaining yourself down. Stop limiting yourself. Because the thing is the more that you limit yourself, the less obvious the limitations placed on you by others are. And the less problems you can actually address. I'm breaking free of the chains of smoking. And if I can do it, so can you. But the thing is sitting there and using something like vaping to do so doesn't make you weak. It makes you smart. Why suffer when you don't need to? A lot of people that sit there and say, oh, people that sit there and say that they want to quit but that they can't are weak. No, they're not. Those chains are strong. And I'm speaking from experience. I'm a pretty strong-willed person. Y'all have seen this in my video. I've had problems quitting smoking. I've tried to quit smoking 6 times now. And this is by long and far the closest I've ever gotten. And it's gotten to the point where I no longer enjoy actual cigarettes. That should say something. For those of you who were looking at vaping, and the thing is don't let peer pressure because there will be peer pressure in there trying to keep you in smoking cigarettes. You know, people saying, oh, vaping is pretentious. Well, there are pretentious pricks in everything. Let's be fucking honest. But the vast majority of vapors that I've met, just the random casual person that you talk to on the street. Vast majority of the time, you don't even know that they're a vapor until they pull out their vaping pen. So, don't let peer pressure stop you from making a good. Because that's the only time you're weak. When you let others dictate your actions. Like I said, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just giving you the information. The only thing that I am telling you to do, be you. Make your own choices, own the consequences of them. And me, quite frankly, I went ahead, did my cost-benefit analysis of smoking. And just like marriage, it doesn't stand up to the scrutiny. So I'm changing that. I'm ditching it. Now the question is what is your cost-benefit analysis? Okay. So I'll probably go ahead and put a couple links to some videos or some channels down into the low bar once this is done uploading. But the thing is I highly recommend that you look into it. I'll give you some pretty non-biased ones and some that are biased. Like, let's be honest. There's going to be some bias here. But the thing is if anything, given my history, I would be biased towards cigarettes. So The fact that I'm changing over to this and that the transition is as easy and as pleasurable as it is, no, that should speak volumes right there. And the thing is, I'm not just speaking with my words, I'm speaking with my actions. I'm actually following through. I have known so many people that have tried to quit cigarettes and failed when trying to use the patches or those drugs that make cigarettes taste nasty to you. Let's be fucking honest, cigarettes don't exactly taste great. Not until your taste buds are deadened. Cigarettes don't really taste all that good. So sitting there and making them taste not good again, all that's doing is making the person miserable while still having them on the vice. Chewing gum, no. If someone's chemically addicted to cigarettes, here's the thing: they're addicted to I think it's MAOIs is the acronym for them. Don't quote me on that. But there's actually a combination of chemicals in the tar that you get addicted to. That's where the chemical addiction really comes from. But the thing is that addiction really isn't all that strong. It's more of the habit that you get addicted to. It's just like the same thing as if you were to take someone who is an absolute neat freak, right? And you were to tell them they are not allowed to clean anything for 2 or 3 days. By the end of that second or third day, they are going to be completely frazzled. You've just turned their entire world upside down. Something that they're used to doing with the vast majority of time in their day, now they have to find a way to fill that gap. Very difficult. That's another thing that I've seen smokers fail with. It's filling that time in the day that they would have been smoking. Not getting those little mini breaks. And then seeing someone with a cigarette and boom, they go right toward it. Because it's familiar. Well, this helps mitigate that problem. Yeah, you're going to have to form some new habits, let's be honest, but at least this buys you the time for it. Making drastic changes rarely ends well for anyone. It doesn't align with human nature. So stop fighting against human nature. Start working with it. But I've rambled on long enough. And so I'll talk to y'all later. I'm going to end the stream here. But honestly, take a look into it, guys. I highly recommend it. It might not be for you. I'm not saying that it will 100% work for you. Not saying that. But if you go in educated about it, then you can actually give it the good old college try, as they say. But the thing is if you go in without knowing anything and you just grab the first thing that's handed to you, vast majority of the time, it's not going to be. And there were better options out there and you just left them on the table. So, be smart in all aspects of your life. Make informed decisions. And if anyone wants to go ahead and ask me any questions, feel free to hit me up. On Discord, go ahead, personal message me. Feel free. I will be more than happy to answer any of your questions for you or point you to someone who does know the answer. So, have yourselves a great day. Stay free. Peace.